Well, members, I'm sorry I have to be here to speak against this bill. I was ready to vote for it. Again, I really appreciate Mr. Leach's work on this. I know Mr. Leach and I have had our fun on the front and back mics, but I respect his efforts to work with us, and I think Mr. Leach was willing to work with us. I think the people who are not willing to work with us are across the hall, and that has been consistent throughout this session. And just like earlier, I think this is kind of one of those expect us moments as well. That this is something that I think we've made very reasonable requests. Requests that don't destroy this bill, requests that don't upset what their intent was, but simply, can we have just a tiny bit of balance? Could we have a tiny bit of, can we protect the system that we have and not do to the judiciary what we have done to everything else, which is politicize it until it's dead. And this is really the frustration for me, because, I mean, outside of my role here, I'm a lawyer, but I'm also a law nerd. You know, I'm one of the few people that really enjoyed law school. And my classmates really hate me for that too. But that's not the point. The point is, what happens to the judiciary, to me, outside of all this, is extremely important. Because the judiciary is what ties our nation together. The judiciary is what ties our democracy together. It's how we make sure that the legislative branch works with the executive branch and works with everybody else. They're the referees who come in and say, everybody chill out for a moment, let's figure this out. The point of the judiciary, if you look at their rules of ethics, if you look at what they swear to, they swear, even if though they run as Democrats, run as Republicans or independents or whatever, that they will not use that in place of their judgment, that they will keep their minds clear and not prejudge issues before they come before them in court. That's why if you go work with judiciary candidates, they go out campaigning, they can't say, they don't talk about abortion, they don't talk about guns, they don't talk about all this stuff. Because they can't. They're not supposed to. They're not supposed to have made up their minds about what happens before it appears before them in court. That is very different from what we do, and I think we can't see that because we don't live in that world. Judicial Commission, I understand, is not functioning as well as they would like. You know what would have helped it? Money. You know what would help them? More staff. You know what would help them? More resources. This doesn't help them. This bill, this SJR, only helps one person, and that's Greg Abbott. And I'm sorry that people don't want to hear that, but that's the truth. We have taken a commission that was made up of people picked by the Supreme Court of Texas, again, a 100% Republican-controlled institution, a body, and flipped it around and gave the majority control to lay persons, people who are not even attorneys, much less judges, and say, you now have the majority control. And people say, well, the Senate's gonna figure this stuff out. My friends, the Senate voted this out of their committee 9-0. In the House, it was 6-5. I think you all know what a rubber stamp the Senate is. Come on. I got some laughs out of that. This is not just about politics. This is about our democracy. Having a judicial system that is not afraid to do their jobs is what we need. Here is the danger. Here is the real danger. This provision on page 3, this is not about ethics violations. This is not about criminal violations. This is not about sexual harassment. This is not about being unprofessional. All those issues are already covered. The great fear of this thing, the thing that they're hiding sort of on page 3, that we don't really talk about, is that in the future, if judges, let's say, maybe a judge sides with a plaintiff a lot more than they side with defendants in lawsuits. Maybe that judge gets investigated and say, well, that's not proper performance because you're not doing the things we want. You're not doing it the way we want. Is that an ethical violation? Nope. Is it a criminal violation? Nope. What is it? Well, we just don't like it. If you really want to politicize it, that's how you would do it right there. That part right there. And all I had asked for on the previous amendment said was this: if you're going to put this kind of ambiguous question of how judges will be judged, at least put the majority of people who will be making that decision as actual judges. And that was denied. I'm asking you to oppose this legislation to maintain balance within our government. Maintain balance. You guys remember that? There is a balance of powers between the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. Each one checks the other. Here we have a process that used to be set by the Supreme Court, used to be set by the judiciary, and now it's going to be consumed by the executive and the legislative. We have watched this happen again, time and time again. We don't like the way the judges are handing out verdicts, so we created a special court just for large corporate defendants. We don't like the other ones? Well, let's go after them in other ways, and let's make sure that they're scared into doing what they're supposed to do. At the end of the day, this is about Texans versus moneyed interests. I really believe that. That this is about us putting our thumb on the scale when we don't like that our judges are ruling in favor of our constituents, ruling in favor of our citizens, ruling in favor of people who have been hurt. And this is the way we're going to solve it. I urge you to vote no on SJR 27.